Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're looking at Star Wars vs. Warhammer 40k, Episode 21, Struggle by a Fan with Too Much Time. That thumbnail is like teeth, and I don't get it, because it's like in an all-black face, you see the giant smile. And the title is Struggle, which is like, okay, we got two sides, and they're struggling against each other. Unless this is some kind of manic grin, and it's reflecting their victim struggling, I got no idea what this is a reference to. But Van is pretty good about always having some meaning to go with his titles. He doesn't just pull them out of his ass like someone else who I won't mention. So he probably has something in mind for it. I kind of want to figure out what it is. So we're just going to jump right in. You guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. Van's awesome. If you haven't already subscribed to him, fix that. I have. Actually, just want to double check. Okay, it says subscribe. Okay, good. I did. It'd be really embarrassing if I literally hadn't done that yet. Ignore the fact that it took me 3 episodes to do that because I completely forgot. Yeah. Moving on, let's get started. Finland usually has a few audio cues by now. Oh, there were audio cues. They were just very faint. I just jacked the sound up on my end to even hear. It's in blood, so I'm assuming maybe the idea of a predator was accurate. Or at least it looks like blood writing. And oh, aiding in by having the words come forward.
What do you see out there?
The fuck?
Asked the inhuman man. The officer was trembling, shaking.
Inhuman?
What had he done wrong? How had he not accomplished his duty? He wanted to ask.
Alien?
He wanted to ask so
or
badly.
mech boy? Sorry, cog boy.
But the Inquisitor had ordered him not to speak, and he couldn't disobey.
Oh, yeah, because the Inquisitor, if it's the one I'm thinking about, had the cogboy with him as well.
No matter how he tried, he just could not. They stood at a window, the largest window of his critical relay center.
Oh?
From there, much of the battle between the Jedi forces and those of the primary bunker were clearly visible.
Do you want to know what I see?
He whispered. Javrik couldn't budge, couldn't even tremble. Below them, men were screaming and dying, being
watching
cut
the
down
fight?
in swaths. They were relying on this center, this station, to help them parse through the chaos of the...
I just realized what this reminds me of, and it's ironic as hell. While it's very much on the Imperium side right now, this very much feels like, I think it's what? Return of the Jedi, where Palpatine is on the Death Star, looking out over the window and watching the space battle happen, and just being all passive like, yes. It's very much that vibe right there.
Spreading planet-wide conflict. But he was helpless.
I see a great piece on an even greater board.
What?
Said the Inquisitor.
I know you do not understand.
This is a
He
very creepy
continued.
piece of art he chose.
To you, the pieces are the men, the tanks, maybe even the bases.
The Inquisitor swept his hand out as if unveiling an open secret.
But to me, the scale is a bit bigger. And this whole planet, New Cadia, constitutes just one value.
Seriously, fan, the more you pull back from this, the more I have to think, where the hell do you find these images? Because this thing is creepy as F, man. Also, okay, we are going with the Radical Inquisitor, who is definitely not a Chaos Sorcerer in denial. Also, I was told he actually isn't mutated. He physically mutilated himself to make himself more terrifying. Because being an Inquisitor wasn't terrifying enough.
Valuable piece. And, as I'm sure you know, when playing Regicide, a piece's value is determined by how it can attack the enemy in its current placement.
And considering this is just the
Or
leftover
what
security
advantage
force
might
and not
be
the main
bought
fleet.
Through its sacrifice.
He
Do
said.
they need to sacrifice anyone, though? They might win without
Swarms
that.
of the maddened, light-wielding wizards spun, running up buildings, leaping chasms, and butchering the
Seeing the
guardsmen
Jedi,
trying to
yeah.
slow their advance. The lieutenant could see it all, was watching it all fall apart, slowly, inexorably.
Oh.
Sadly, New Cadia does not hold much offensive value.
Yeah, on the other hand, it has very much the grinding down literally all of the opposition value. It's doing that job really damn well. Also, I have no idea where this is from. Is that an AU or is it just a guy I don't understand? Could be both, but that looks more like Imperial era Star Wars helmets.
Said the Inquisitor.
Ah, but it's sacrifice. There lies the key to the game.
But why?
Potentially, everyone remembers the breaking of the Cadian Gate for what it cost us. But I remember what it gave us as well.
I mean, technically a Primarch, and that technically counts for quite a lot, and the Custodes coming back because he then kicked them out. And a good way to technically distract the Tyranid horde on Ball, who ended up saving them because the demons were there and then they got out in the confusion. But I don't think he's referencing all that. He's literally insane, though, so I'm assuming when he says good things, it's really bad for anyone objectively thinking.
What if we could gain that again? That unity, that shared purpose. But pay only a fraction.
I'm sorry. Shared purpose? My ass. That is literally not what happened. I mean, I know he's wrong. That's very much intentional. The only shared purpose was, I'm going to listen to the big Primarch who's actually alive in here, or he will kill me. And he didn't actually kill anyone like that. He had other people do it through a definitely not planned out series of events on Earth. Sorry, Terra. It definitely wasn't something a Primarch who was obsessive enough to, in what seems to be just a couple of days, afternoon, or a night, I don't know, write the entire Codex Astartes. And he wouldn't have an incredibly tactically adept mind when it comes to putting up obscenely detailed plans that are overthought out of compare, and then set up all his political rivals to off themselves, essentially, and put his own high lords into place. That would never be the case. It's not like that was literally what happened. Basically, what I'm saying is this guy is not just delusional. He doesn't understand what is happening on a fundamental level. I mean, I've heard of confirmation bias, but wow. That's a level of stupidity that would make him radical and probably chaos
Javrik
corrupted.
felt his uniform sticking to him, despite how cold he was. So cold he wished he could shiver, could do anything other than watch the massacre happening below, or listen to the man beside him. He felt a wetness cool the edges of his eyes.
If he's trying to set him up to lose here, does that mean he's going to help the Star Wars side?
I would have to be a
Because it looks like the Imperium side might win.
Not to use every piece to its fullest potential. Don't you agree? I thought so. And since we both agree on what must be done,
He is a strong
let me
warrior.
tell you now. Before the close, what will be done?
The crooked man whispered into his ear, the act nearly causing the officer to void his bowels on the spot.
We will tease them out all that we can. We will make legends on this planet. Saints and martyrs for all involved. We will make sure every eye falls on this pitiful world.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. He's making a spectacle of it. He's literally pulling a Palpatine in miniature. Where Palpatine was making a spectacle of the Clone Wars to eventually gain power through it, and honestly because he enjoyed fucking around with people, and he's kind of an insane asshole that way who only enjoys cutting loose, but his psychology is its own thing. This guy is doing the same thing of pitting the sides against each other to make saints and martyrs, to get everyone staring right here, to unite in purpose, and whatever that purpose is, I'm sure it's definitely going to work. I mean, this is why whenever you become chaos corrupted, your entire thought process is fucked. People were like, oh yeah, he's not entirely corrupted. I'm like, no. There's a reason radical inquisitors have an issue with, staying inquisitors and not basically just being demon sorcerers adjacent. I do mean demon sorcerers specifically. I know what I said.
We will make an audience of the galaxy and show them the wonders of this war. Do you see? We shall let them fight and shoot and kill. We shall let the Republic have its moments. Allow them to believe they can win. And we shall make heroes of our fallen. Legends of our stands. We shall let them struggle.
The man cried, his voice nearing inhuman laughter as he continued.
We shall let the replicas swarm and die. Let the angels fly and fall upon them.
I'm starting to wonder if this might not be who I thought it was, because I don't remember that Chaos Corrupted Inquisitor being this self-aggrandizing, and the way fans portraying this guy is way more enjoying the sake of what they're doing as opposed to I do it because I must, and if I happen to learn something in it, oh, that's fun. I got a completely different vibe because the previous one seemed a lot more understated, oddly enough. Is this a different Crazy Inquisitor? I don't think so, but maybe I'm just misremembering.
We shall watch men and beast and Xenos be broken and scattered like chaff before weapons of war unimagined by our foes. Do you hear me, Lieutenant? We shall let them make them struggle. And when finally all eyes of worth are here, and naught can happen over this sickly sphere that is not seen, when this false war
this is literally
reaches
nothing.
its crescendo, my messenger shall blow upon the devil's horn.
The Inquisitor seemed to settle with those last words, his smile still present.
So he knows where the bomb is, huh?
Javik tried to budge, tried to say
never mind.
To ask why. Why was he being shown and told all of this?
I'm assuming the Inquisitor is about to kill him because it's fun to monologue to an audience.
Why had they killed all the men in his relay post?
And when that horn is sounded, hell shall follow. A reckoning to turn the stars red and earn us the Imperium we deserve. Ah, glorious.
If this is the guy I think it is, and I'm not entirely convinced anymore, I thought it was, but is this guy talking about blowing it up by turning the star red, or opening the equivalent of a warp rift in the Star Wars side? Functionally, how would that even work? Because in all honesty, the Star Wars side is significantly different than the 40K side. Also, a few people said, apparently in some of the outtakes I've missed, Van went over his interpretation of a demon being introduced into the Star Wars version of the warp, and it would be crushed under a saltwater fish in a freshwater pond type situation. It's not compatible. So how would that work? I think he's talking about blowing up the planet, but I don't know.
And so close now.
Unity of purpose is not going to happen, though.
You are wondering why I didn't kill you like the others.
Because you're a messenger?
Alas, stifle that guttering flame of hope.
Oh, never mind.
Your death is assured. And what's more, it shall be the hardest death among any suffered here. For my companion has appetites I must sate. A regrettable but entirely valuable sacrifice.
Okay, never mind. It's exactly who I thought. I really thought this guy was more into the entire, play from the shadows, but no. He's being a lot more overt than I thought he was. Huh.
I promise you.
And even more
in
delusional than
this,
his first appearance.
You and New Cadia are very much the same.
Expendable?
But I am not an unmerciful man. And so, before I send you to your fate, I give you this small elucidation, in the hopes you might, in your suffering, appreciate some aspect of your purpose and service.
The words were surreal to the lieutenant, all the way up until he felt taloned hands wrapping around
If he was
his
smart, he'd
torso
blow his
and
head right now.
waist.
It's safer.
He tried to scream harder than he ever had before, and the effort made him gasp. Suddenly somewhat free, at least so much as his voice was concerned.
Oh, he was literally held in place.
You
Huh?
are insane!
Yeah,
he
is.
gasped, trying to extend the control to his limbs and body, but finding the vice around those only tightening, preempting his efforts. Let me eat him, Master. You had your words. Let me have my meal. Hissed the monster who held him from behind.
Yeah.
This time, Javik did release his bowels, though the Inquisitor did not seem to notice.
Or care.
He looked almost genuinely sorry, or as close as one could get with such sharp teeth and strange, inhuman eyes.
I thank you for your service,
The man said.
No!
Javik gasped, but the Inquisitor looked past him now and nodded his head once towards whatever it was that held him. Javik managed to scream once more, briefly, before he was enforced into silence again. But despite his quick
You gonna eat the
silencing,
body or the soul?
Javik would
Both?
suffer for a small eternity, as the demon he was given to took its time and fed.
And if that doesn't tell you just how corrupted someone is, it's one thing to have a demon host. It's another to literally feed a soul to a demon when you're an Inquisitor. I mean, I get it. They are massive hypocrites in general. And this one in particular is delusional, but just... The worst part is Fan highlighting how he almost looks sorry. That right there makes it so much worse because it shows there's enough thought right there that he realizes, this is bad. I'm still going to do it, but it's bad. It's not that he's so far gone, it doesn't matter, where he goes into that weird category where a lot of Horus Heresy traitor Astartes go, where, yeah, they're evil, but their viewpoint is so fucked up that you just kind of see how it goes. This one is very much the, I'm going to betray everything I stand for without realizing it, which is also where the Astartes went, but he's so much earlier on the path where it's just like, why? I'm sure when we get further to know him, he's going to become way more hated. Because he very much feels like someone you're supposed to hate, but also fear because he's apparently very effective at not getting caught. And anyone who brings around a demon host with them, man, you know what kind of fucked up you got. Earlier? Far above. Oh, orbit or air? Don't know. Thought we'd seen it.
Anakin shuddered, sweat
Orbit it
weeping
is.
from his skin as he hung, blind and paralyzed. The Jedi felt like he had been locked inside a microwave, which had been set to its lowest power setting and was now left to slowly
microwaves
roast
in
from
Star
the
Wars?
inside out.
Okay.
He tried to struggle but could hardly tell if he was bound or truly paralyzed, though
Yes,
he was certain
probably
that the
both.
blindfold which was sheathing his eyes was real. He wiggled and, after several sickening moments, concluded that he was bound. bound, and, as it turned out, hanging upside down, an unpleasant fact he discovered when he suddenly found himself heaving up what little remained of the breakfast he had eaten earlier.
At least
The
you won't choke
sick
on it.
spilled through slits in the gag they had forced into his mouth,
Oh,
choking
never mind.
him for a few seconds before it drained, falling into his nose and the upper half of his face. Anakin tried to swing to whip himself clean by the motion, but was held far too tightly to do more than add a subtle sway to the encompassing imprisonment he had
Come
been
on,
placed
R2.
into. And still, the roasting, sometimes hot, sometimes cold, went on.
Interesting.
He could see nothing, hear nothing.
Okay. I get this is horrible and it's disturbing, but I'm very much wondering what the hell Fan is trying to achieve with this background music. It's all over the place, but it has that almost lilting pastoral effect right here. Like, listen to the background. Do you hear that? It's mellow in a way that is kind of off-putting. It's like when someone has a really graphic, violent scene and you have children singing in cutesy voices. It's the most fucked up thing ever. It's not to that level here, but this audio choice is very disconcerting.
Times cold went on. He could see nothing, hear nothing but his own gasps and groans, and
Sure if I like
taste
it or not.
nothing but his own bile. Even the Force was distant, if not gone entirely from his perceptions.
No?
This was torture, and it was only the beginning, he knew. Anakin did not need to access the Force to know that his ordeal had just begun.
And the irony, of course, is, while for a psyker or Force sensitive right now, this would be a form of torture, by Imperium standards, this is still kid gloves. I'm not going to elaborate, because I don't like thinking about that. I have the models. I don't even like using them because they're kind of fucked up.
Or so he had thought, but to his unspeakable relief, he heard something, a hiss, the sliding of the door, and the whir of tracks that he knew from memory.
Oh, we're just getting right to
His
R2?
hope was made real when R2 beeped a greeting to his imprisoned form.
Oh, yeah.
The Jedi groaned in response, and a few moments later, felt the bindings loosening, gasping as he was released and dropped
Goddamn
to the
R2.
floor. Anakin tried to rise, but found he was still bound in sheets of thick, rubbery cloth, a substance he was liberated from a few moments later when R2 rolled over to him and used his cutting torch to free his friend. Anakin rolled over and clawed at the gag and blindfold that had been locked around his face, tearing them away and coughing for several moments, ripping off a piece of his robe and wiping his face with it.
That's... Oh, God. This is the image they went here. This is what R2 looks like. The cog on his head, You know what? Actually, he still looks way too clean. They should have thrown some bile or shit on him, but I don't think R2 would have let them survive. And I do mean let them. He would have somehow found one of their lightsabers, and by lightsabers, I mean Anakin's, and it would have just happened to turn on in someone's face. I fully believe R2 would learn to use a lightsaber if it meant someone tried to fuck with him.
Eyes clear of both blinding restraints and sticky sickness, he looked around at where he was. A small room, clearly some form of interrogation chamber. It even had a pair of chairs and a desk between them, with the interrogator's chair being of an obviously more comfortable nature. However, hanging behind the uncomfortable, stark metal chair that would normally be the place of the person to be interrogated were two hanging, coffin-like pods.
Oh!
They were thick, hinged, and hanging upside down. Anakin's open and empty, the one beside it still closed, its inhabitant silent and inscrutable behind its restraints.
So the big question is the person in there another prisoner, or a null enforcing the prison? Considering his reaction to the Sister of Silence, I'm going with another prisoner, and this... Anyone that the Imperium feels they need to contain is usually someone you don't want to deal with. Because as bad as they are, their enemies are usually worse. Oh no, this is going to be bad, isn't it? This is literally the enemies just coming out of the woodwork.
Ugh. The Jedi groaned, holding his throbbing, fevered skull. R2 chirped sadly, and Anakin shook his head in response. No, it's not that. You have no idea how glad I am to see you. Seriously, I thought I was done for a second there.
Yeah?
It's just... this place. It's wrong. It denies the Force. And frankly, it feels like it's denying me too.
Literally what they're
R2
doing, yeah.
beeped at that and straightened, rolling over to the closed door and extending his access probe towards a similar control slot. Hold on, R2. Before we go, there is something I think we should do, he said. The black walls were coated in scrolls of yellowing paper adhered to the stone or stone-like material by stamps of what looked like red wax. They seemed to silently shift and waver in a wind that couldn't be felt. And that wind was subtly drawing itself in towards the other prisoner. Anakin approached the hanging metal sarcophagus and knelt to look into its face. It had a pallid, vaguely feminine mask with empty eyes and grills over the mouth. The Jedi could still hear the soft rasp of breath coming from within, though he could see no eyes as he knelt, looking into the dark confines of the mask, and was certain that the prisoner had been blindfolded as well. "Can you hear me in there?" asked Anakin, voice hesitant. No response. The cadence of the breathing did not even change. Fair enough, Anakin thought. This person had been here for who knows how long and could only reasonably expect an interrogator to be speaking. If this prisoner did know something else of worth, he or she would be loath to let it go or make it easier to retrieve by engaging with their torturers. But Anakin wanted to know this person.
Considering he specifically called out the feminine mask and he's bringing out this specific model, I think that's a mortifier. Those are reserved not just for the penitent engines that had the people strapped to them, but they were still given the honor of being allowed to die for the cause. The mortifiers were kept alive and well protected so that they could suffer longer. It's not about redeeming them through pain at that point, like some of the other tortures they did. It's flat out, fuck you. And if that's the person in here, this is usually the people who are absolutely really fucked up. They don't do that easily. I mean, it's the 40K. I'm sure a few people always do it easily because, well, we need a few more. Might as well just take a few heretics. Yeah. But that kind of stuff happens everywhere. I'm very much wondering which way fans are going to go on this. Are we going to go with, an ally of convenience? Or are we going with, fuck, let's bring back the sister. It's safer. It could go either way, and I'm actually kind of curious.
To know what manner of enemy the Imperials had already made before confronting the Republic. He was tempted to try to use the Force to scan for surface thoughts, but even without that monster from before being present, his connection to the Force was pained and tenuous. Yeah. And he knew that something in this place, in this very cell, was jamming or blocking his connection.
Wait, if it's in the cell, it's probably this guy itself?
Open this one up too. R2-D2 returned the order with a low, hesitant warble. I know, but whoever this is, it's someone they desperately want dead, almost as much as they want whatever they know. I can't turn back after having come this far, so let's not waste any more time. That's what they want to know,
it's what they want to not alive.
He said.
Unless this is the prisoner they were talking about
beeping an affirmative and drawing his friend's attention before launching the Jedi's lightsaber out towards him from a small hatch on his dome. Anakin snatched the saber out of the air, only fumbling it a little before activating it with a fierce smile, nodding in gratitude to the droid before turning to fully regard the other prisoner. The astromech rolled over to an input slot in the wall and inserted the access probe, twisting it for a couple of seconds until the first lock clamping the sarcophagus shut hissed loudly and cracked open.
Oh, he just flat out hacked it open?
Sector clear.
Really? Really, fan? You're just gonna get right to the point? You get right to the first time, that wasn't a really big cliffhanger because we got that initial introduction of, oh yeah, I'm evil. I'm going to destroy it. But now it's like, okay, we're going to get out. We've already resolved Anakin being in jail, which for fan is probably one of the fastest turnarounds I've ever seen. And right when we get to that point, it was like, ooh, what's going to happen? Nope. You baited and switched it. Oh, shit. It's a lot later than I thought. Okay, full disclosure, I was actually going to record more, but then I saw that it's almost 11:30 at night, and I gotta be up in the morning. So I need to cut this here, or tomorrow is going to really suck. I can deal with a few hours of sleep, but when it gets under 3, I don't function well. Good old early mornings. More importantly, though, I want to do more because this cliffhanger is crushing me right now. I'm just like, God damn you, fan. People warned me at every step of the way. Fan would have fun with cliffhangers. And they were downplaying it. He has cliffhangers before a cliffhanger even ends a section. It is cool to see him moving around more and introducing more characters now that I think most of the main sides and aspects are introduced, so he can get a little more leeway now that we have an idea what's going on. At least that's what it feels like, because he's been switching perspectives to main point characters more often and pulling in their narratives, which also has the effect of combining them so we can see how the pieces are starting to fit together, rather than here's something and here's something and here's something on the other side of the planet and just randomly back at Coruscant for a few things. Now we're getting a few pieces starting to slot together, see how this puzzle actually is working. And it's fun, and it's why I am so annoyed when we get to something really cool about to slot in, and nope, go somewhere else. Yeah, this is fine. Just worse because I want to watch more, and I literally can't because of the time. God damn it, me for not starting an hour earlier. Details. More importantly, you guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. Fan's awesome. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next one, when I definitely make sure to start recording earlier so we can really get into this, because I want more, damn it. So yeah, I'll see you guys then. Adios.